The Eagles did not even need Saquon Barkley to flex his muscles. He did not. And Philadelphia certainly did. 40-22, the final. They take home the Lombardi Trophy. It was a Harvard boat race. Now, that means that the Eagles jumped out early and never looked back, right? The game was close at the end of the first quarter, 7-0. At halftime was 24-0. And later on, 34-0 before the Chiefs scored. However, the better story is in the losing locker room. So we asked the question, as we discuss here, we asked the question. I'm choked up here. We asked the question. Any sound? Could we have any sound? We do. All right. Anyway, I asked the question, who gets the dunce cap? Who gets the dunce cap of blame for the Chiefs losing? And not just losing. It's one thing to lose on a late field goal or a late touchdown. They lost. The game was over at halftime. 24-0 at halftime. So let us discuss the question. My thoughts on this. I've got torts, folk song, and Yiddish. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a cough lozenge is what we're going to make. So, it obviously starts at the top, and Patrick Mahomes deserves all the praise he's gotten. But he also deserves to be criticized for this performance. That was unbecoming of Patrick Mahomes in this game, and people are going to defend Mahomes, are going to blame other people for the outcome of the game. But to me, it starts with Mahomes. He was bad. He was bad. Now, he had some garbage time stats, but when the game was in the balance, which it really was only for a quarter here, Mahomes did not step up. He did not get her done. Did not get her done at all. And there's a saying, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. And we know that the Mahomes that played on Super Bowl Sunday there, that was a torts performance. As the great hockey coach John Tortorella has pointed out, he sucked at a time you cannot suck, which was the balance of the game. The balance of the game there. Now, many people, again, passing the buck. Well, the defense wasn't good. The offensive line wasn't good. And listen, the offensive line could have been better. Mahomes, several of those sacks were on Mahomes, though. The sack is a quarterback stat. Mahomes held the ball for too long. I thought I was watching Caleb Williams playing the Super Bowl as long as he was holding the ball. Bad job by Mahomes. Bad job by him here. And there were so many negative plays. And that poured gasoline on the fire here. A pair of back-breaking interceptions. There was also a fumble by Mahomes here. But whichever quarterback, typically, it's not that. I mean, we spend a lot of time. I do a TV show during the football season handicapping NFL games. And it often comes down to who makes the fewer negative plays. All right, who makes the fewer negative plays. And in this game, now negative plays are interceptions. All right, interceptions, incompletions, sacks, and fumbles. Those are considered bad plays. Mahomes, you know how many negative plays Mahomes had when you combine fumbles, sacks, incompletions, interceptions? Mahomes had 20. He had 20 negative plays in the Super Bowl. And he's getting a pass because he's Mahomes. Not on this show he's not getting a pass. And Jalen Hurts, who, to his credit, he only had 8. There were 8 negative plays. So he did throw an interception, but it was deep inside Kansas City territory. So Chiefs took over inside their own 5-yard line on that play. But, hey, listen, a plus 12 negative play ratio for your quarterback versus the other team's quarterback, you should win 40-22, which is exactly what Philadelphia pulled off here. Now, what was the turning point? I was looking for the turning point for the Eagles that flipped the game, right, in their direction. Now, this game, you said, well, the turning point was, I know exactly when the turning point was. It's an American folk song, and we can all sing along here. The wheels on the bus go round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round. The moment the Chiefs caravan showed up, the buses showed up to the Superdome, they were cooked, right? They were done. You had Travis Kelce walk out there, and he showed up wearing that. You see what he was wearing? He had that burnt orange suit, the wide lapel suit on. He had the matching trousers there, a little burnt orange. He had the patterned, buttoned-up shirt as well. He was doing cosplay is what he was doing. Kelsey was doing some cosplay there. He looked like he had just pulled up out of the hot tub time machine, and he was out of the time machine there, and it was from like the 1970s. He was doing like a 1970s cosplay thing, and you said, well, that's not a good sign. And Kansas City, it proved now it could have turned out the other way, but it turned out that you saw that, you said, well, that's not good. And they were cooked. Yeah. What happened to the championship pedigree? We hear so much. Lead up to these games. Well, that disappeared because the outcome didn't go that way. The Chiefs did not win. No, they don't lose games like this. Well, they did. They just lost. The Chiefs just lost. But the moment that was the turning point was when they showed up to the stadium. And the Eagles stomped all over them. And that's an understatement. A domination situation. And do not let the garbage time numbers in the fourth quarter sway the outcome. I don't have to say you didn't watch the game, but maybe you tuned it out. And a lot of people watch the Super Bowl at parties. It's a social event, and you're not really paying that close attention. Well, if you weren't paying close attention, you say, well, what happened? 20-22. Mahomes made some plays. Well, yeah, he did when the game was over. He made a few plays. That was take out the trash time. Now, the last word here. So what adjustments could Andy Reid have made better, shall we say, better adjustments in Super Bowl 59? So the obvious one is, I don't know, it's not that deep, right? It's Occam's razor. The simplest solution is the obvious one. Don't fall behind 34-0 in the Super Bowl. 34-0 in the Super Bowl. And the obvious one is you got to find some early offense. And there was nothing there. And, don't tell me, the Eagles. Washington was able to score against that Eagles defense. The LA Rams scored the ball against that Eagle defense. Kansas City should have been able to score the ball when it mattered against the Eagles defense, and they did not. So excuse my Yiddish here. The entire Eagles offense, they were klutzes. That's how they looked in the early part of that game there. And I don't know, maybe they passed out before the game. Everyone took the same stupid pills before the game there. But they were playing uphill. The entire day they were playing uphill here and really stumbled out of the gates. It was only 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. So if you weren't paying attention because maybe you were having some of those little appetizers and you weren't paying attention, 7-0, all right, that's not that big a deal. However, it was actually much worse than that. The Eagles had 115 yards of offense. The Chiefs had 19 at the end of the first quarter. Several of you pointed out the main thing the Chiefs had to overcome was the curse of Poppy. As our guy Poppy picked Kansas City, and I knew I was doomed. I knew my pick on the TV show was cooked because of Poppy and that jinx. And sure enough, that played out there. But the floodgates really opened up. You played bad. You're like, it's a bad quarter, but you're only down 7-0. And then Patrick Mahomes stepped out there and just kept handing the ball away. And the floodgates opened up in that second quarter, and it was 179 yards to 23 at halftime. The Eagles had 13 first downs. The Chiefs had 1. And so, well, that's just the box score, but it actually looked worse than that. Watching the game looked worse than that, if that's possible. All right. Anyway, it is the Ben Maller Show. Here is Patrick Mahomes. Let's hear some post-game flavor for you. Here's Mahomes on the many mistakes. I mentioned those negative plays. Mahomes had 20 of them. Jalen Hurts only had 8. Here's Mahomes talking about sucking in the Super Bowl.
Obviously, the turnovers hurt, and I take all the blame for that. Just those early turnovers swing the momentum of the game, and then they capitalized on them, and they scored. They scored on the one, and then they got a touchdown immediately after. So that's 14 points that I kind of gave them, and it's hard to come back from that in the Super Bowl.
And you didn't. You didn't come back. All right, but wait, there's more. Here's Mahomes, and he wants you to know that this is going to follow him around. He is going to turn a negative into a positive. Take a listen.
Anytime you lose a Super Bowl, it's the worst feeling in the world. They'll stick with you the rest of your career.
Oh, right.
These will be the 2 losses that will motivate me to be even better for the rest of my career, because you only get so few of these, and you have to capitalize on these, and they hurt probably more than the wins feel good.
Okay, well, didn't you learn from the last time you lost in the Super Bowl to Tampa Bay a couple years back? Come on. All right, now here's one more. Andy Reid, who is chasing the legendary Bill Belichick and still on track. Andy Reid, if his health is there and he keeps going here to set the all-time wins record, he's chasing Don Shula's record. But this is about Super Bowl wins, and this was a golden opportunity going into the game. The Chiefs favored by 1.5 and could have added another one of those Lombardi trophies. They obviously did the opposite. Here's Andy Reid on what it's all about.
We'll learn from this.
Okay.
Like most games here, when you don't do very well, you learn from it as a coach, you learn from it as a player, and you move on.
Okay. Just keep learning. How come the bad teams never, like the teams that suck in the NFL, they never, like Tennessee's the worst team in the NFL. They must have learned a lot this year, the Tennessee Titans, because they had the worst record. So they must have learned, like the Patriots must have learned a lot also. Yeah, learn from losses. So I have nothing to say, so I'm going to fall back on my sports cliches.